Uh, when we moved here, it was really a big shock because whatever I had dreamed and whatever I thought about America, it was quite the opposite. The life here was very, very difficult as an immigrant. People, my parents and I, we had to work really, really hard to meet the basic needs. So moving here in '96, I started attending. I was a sophomore in Hastings High School. We lived in a very, rough apartment complex. I would say is the best way to describe it. And so that was really my first exposure to, having a house here or having an apartment here. And I realized at that time that, it's not as easy to, it's not as what I had imagined. We got robbed a few times, and what I realized that a lot of basic amenities, a lot of basic things that people are entitled to were missing, and the tenants were not treated as as they should be, as someone paying a good amount of rent. And what I think seemed to be lacking was that the ownerships, they didn't realize that if you were just able to provide a nice, basic, clean space to live, people are willing to pay $50, $100 higher rent. So, anyways, going through high school here, it was again, almost a shock. It was difficult to understand people's accent, even though I studied English in India. But it was difficult. In terms of studies, it was quite a breeze because the concepts that I was learning here I had learned that in 7th grade in India. So, when I got my mark sheets and I got A+, I think my parents had a tough time believing that, our son is doing so good in school. These concepts I had learned in India. So, during the high school years, I was fortunate enough to develop, very good friendships. 5 of my closest friends, even to date, I had met them in high school, and I kept that in mind that one day, that when I'm able to do something or start a business, I would love to work with these guys. And fortunate enough that 2 of my 5 closest friends, they're partners in my business today. One of them, Vivek Shah, he's based in California, and he was one of my first American-born friends. And he thought that I was cool enough to become a friend, short Indian guy with big glasses, who's labeled, as they call it, FOB, fresh off the boat. And so I was really honored that I have an American friend now. And my other friend, who's here, Manish, he's also partner in my business today. He gave me, he basically helped me at any time I wanted, gave me numerous rides, and without expecting anything in back. So those are the things that I really kept in mind. So went through high school, working in different pizza shops, and I was also working in Merrill Lynch, cold calling some high net worth individuals to invite them to financial seminars. So that was the first exposure I had to, you call it finance or investments, and it fascinated me. But growing up, the dream was always to become a computer engineer, which, as you know, 99% of Indians, they want to become engineers or doctors. So the turn came when I took this Economics 101 class, and I was fascinated by the concepts of supply, demand, and monetary policy, fiscal policy. So I said, I have to do something that involves economics. And then I saw the movie Wall Street, and I fell in love with Gordon Gekko's character, and greed is good, the quote that I always can't forget, and I wanted to become a stockbroker at that time. So moving on, then I was fortunate enough to attend University of Texas at Austin, and going through the college and doing a finance degree, it was basically the mentality for every finance major, or what they wanted to do was to become an investment banker. And that was the herd mentality at that time, and I said, sure, I want to be an investment banker. And there was no real reason to it, except that investment banking jobs paid the most. So that became my goal, that I want to do investment banking coming out of college. Realizing that the interviewing process for investment banking jobs is the most difficult. And what made my job even more difficult was that I was on student visa. So the number of companies that came to recruit on campus, basically I was only available, only 5% of those companies were sponsoring for work permit. So I said, well, this is going to make it even more difficult. So I said, well, what I'll do is I'll impress the heck out of these guys and ask them for sponsorship later. And I won't tell them that I'm a student visa. And that's exactly what I did. I was one of the 5 lucky analysts chosen for the corporate finance program at Simmons, which is a local energy investment bank here in town. And luckily they sponsored for my work visa as well. So did the 2 years of investment banking at Simmons, and after investment banking, as most of you might know, that people want to go work at a private equity company or a hedge fund. And said, okay, sure, we'll go work at a private equity company. An interesting opportunity came where the opportunity was through a global real estate firm, which was, which had raised an Asia-based fund, and the opportunity was to relocate to Hong Kong and help start their Asia business. So I took on that opportunity. It was a $700 million private equity real estate fund. The mandate was to invest in companies all across Asia. So spent 7 years there. It was amazing experience because I get to travel and invest in companies in countries like China, India, Australia, Korea, Japan, Southeast Asian countries like Philippines and Thailand, Vietnam. So the fascinating part of working at a firm like this in Asia was not only we were underwriting the specific investment opportunities, we had to underwrite the country risk, we had to underwrite the operator, because the legal system in a lot of these developing countries are not set up to an extent where you can enforce any rights that you have as an investor. So it was fascinating that, very challenging job, but for a 2006 vintage fund, before the great financial crisis, before I left, we had returned every investor their capital back and made them 9% net IRR. Came 2013, my wife and I, we wanted to come back to US because we were expecting our first child and wanted to be close to our parents. So we made a move back to Texas. At this time, having worked in corporate for over 10 years now, I've always had the entrepreneurial edge, so I wanted to do something on my own, but what to do. So, 99% of us here, we all want to do our own business. A lot of people have dreams that they want to start a business. There's 2 things that hold a lot of people back. Number one, everyone is looking for, a home run idea, as I would call it. They're looking for an idea that nobody has ever done it before, and I'm going to be the first one, and it's going to be a genius idea, and it's going to fly. And the second reason that not a lot of people are able to execute a business is they have this fake sense of paycheck security that's kind of inherent in their minds, that people are just looking for the worst case. They're thinking, what if my business doesn't take off? What if I fail? How would I feed my family? So they have this fake sense of security in their mind that I cannot leave my job because the job provides me monthly checks. At this time, I was really glad, and I was really thankful to my wife who encouraged me to take this step and start our own business. Now, with having made up the mind that we're going to start our own business, what business do we do? Obviously, with my experience being in real estate, I wanted to do something in real estate. So then I thought, what exists in this in real estate that I can execute better than anybody else? And what business is there that, you see, every asset class has economic cycles. You have stock markets, bond markets, real estate, everything is cyclical. goes up and down. I wanted to do something that can withstand the downside, can withstand the recession. So I wanted to do something which is a bit recession resilient. So I said, housing. Housing is an area where no matter what happens, people need a place to live. So I played around with the idea of buying single family homes. But then I said, I think the economies of scale work much better if you buy and own multifamily assets, because it's easier to manage. A lot of apartments are in the same location and you can maximize your efficiencies. Now, I wanted to actually create a business where I'm the operator, and that goes back to working in the private equity firms. When I was underwriting operators when I was in Asia, I wanted to become an operator that not only understands the financial metrics, who understands the concepts which like ROI, IRR, equity multiples, how to underwrite deals, modeling, presentations, financial reporting. But at the same time, I wanted to be an operator where I can create some value. And for that, I mean getting your own hands dirty, being able to, really go at the ground level, understand how the business works, how to manage the property. Now, obviously, I had the first component of what I was looking for. I had the financial, experience in private equity firms, but I didn't have any operating experience. So I said, look, we'll start small and then go from there. So that's exactly what we did. We bought a 160-unit apartment complex in a quite rough part of town on Tidwell and I-45. And to be very honest, I think the first 3 months of buying that asset, I really thought that this is the worst decision of my life. Me and Manish and our first property manager, Sadie, she's here, we were sitting there scratching our heads that you're dealing with a really, really tough tenant base. You're trying to collect rents from them. And you have no idea how they will react. I mean, it's almost like you have to go beg them to give you money, and you are entitled to that money. And then you have to listen to the complaints.